So excited to have my guest, Stephanie White, new head coach of the Indiana Fever. Welcome home, my lady.
Thank you. So exciting.
They say a rookie season can make or break a career. But what happens when a player is so exceptional that she shatters 62 records, even despite challenges from her own team? Caitlin Clark, the most exciting player in WNBA history, should have been celebrating one of the best rookie seasons ever, and in many ways she did. However, her debut year with the Indiana Fever was also marked by a constant struggle between her extraordinary talent and the team's struggles stemming from poor leadership behind the scenes. Frustrations grew, missed opportunities piled up, and fans began to wonder what was really going wrong.
So I also want our players to use their instincts and to play free. We want to make plays, not run plays, right? We want to have sets that give us certain spacing that we want, depending upon our rotations, who's on the floor, who we want to attack, what matchups we want to get to, how can we manipulate them. So we'll have certain play calls that just give us space to operate. And then whichever play we make, whichever pass we make determines, one of three actions that our players can read from. And so really giving them the freedom to play within a system.
Enter Stephanie White, the new coach with a bold vision and no patience for mediocrity. In her recent interview with Coaching You, White doesn't just clarify things. She drops bombshells about how Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever will thrive under fresh leadership. Today, we're diving into the truth about where things went wrong, how White plans to unlock Clark's full potential, and why the Fever are gearing up for a championship run. Are you ready? Let's get into it.
It's our job then as coaches to continue to put them in positions to succeed, and our job as a franchise to put the pieces around them that will fill some of the gaps and fill some of the holes. And ultimately, our goal is to win championships and to hang banners.
From playoff hopes to being shown the door, Christie Sides' time with the Indiana Fever was a roller coaster ride. She helped lead the team to its first playoff appearance in 8 years, yet her coaching tenure ended with her ousted. So, what went wrong? It all began with a promising vision for the Fever, drafting young stars like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, and having key veterans like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull on the roster. After a historic WNBA draft, expectations soared, and fans dared to believe a new era was beginning. But the team faltered right out of the gate, starting the season with just 1 win and 8 losses, an agonizing setback for a franchise desperate to break free from mediocrity. It was a devastating blow.
Huge overhaul of the organization as they move into the big time. A new team president in the door, a new general manager in the door, and now a new head coach in the door as Christie Sides was shown the door.
Critics pointed to Christie Sides' erratic coaching decisions as a major problem. Her rotation often seemed random, with key players like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell either being overplayed or benched at critical moments. Lexi Hull, a sharpshooter and defensive powerhouse, was underutilized early in the season, hindering her development and leaving fans frustrated with the team's direction.
We were just sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
Defensive schemes were another major issue for the Fever. The team consistently ranked near the bottom of the league in defensive efficiency, allowing opponents to dominate in critical late-game moments. Fans grew increasingly frustrated as the Fever dropped winnable games, often due to questionable in-game adjustments that left the team vulnerable when it mattered most.
You don't know how to use Caitlin Clark's strengths. You don't know how to play to her weaknesses. You don't know how to draw up a simple out-of-bounds play. You don't know how to calm down muddy waters. You don't know how to call a timeout and relax everybody's emotions. You don't know how to talk to the referees. All you know how to do is wave your arms and defensive slide on the sidelines. And Christie Sides, I'm tired of seeing it every single game.
Even Caitlin Clark,
the team's star rookie, subtly voiced her frustrations. While she remained focused on her game, it was clear that the challenges on the court were weighing on her as she navigated a season filled with missteps and missed opportunities.
A lot of the things she did well were good assistant coach things. Things you want from a good assistant coach. Not your head coach. Was she good in game adjustments? No. Was she good at making subs? No. Was she good at making, seeing what the other teams were doing and game planning for that? No.
For a player of Caitlin Clark's caliber, shattering records and carrying the team offensively, the lack of guidance was devastating. It wasn't just about strategy, it was about leadership. As the season went on, the disconnect between Christie Sid and her players became more and more apparent, further highlighting the challenges facing the team.
These players got great experience in the playoffs this year. They're all hungry to grow and hungry to improve and hungry to be coached and hungry to win. And when you have three foundational players and your big three that have that mindset, have that mentality, and great things can happen.
Despite a remarkable mid-season turnaround that saw the Fever go 19-12, the flaws in Christie Sid's approach were too significant to overlook. Defensive lapses remained a persistent issue, and late-game execution under pressure often left fans frustrated. While Sid was named Coach of the Month in August, internal whispers suggested the team's success was more a result of individual player brilliance than effective coaching. One of the most telling moments came during the Fever's playoff run. The team fought hard to make it to the postseason, only to suffer an early exit, largely due to ineffective defensive adjustments and stagnant offensive schemes. The players gave their all, but it was clear they were playing without a unifying strategy. Sid did her best, but it became apparent that her coaching style and the team's ambitions were on different levels.
What's your approach when you're coaching greatness like that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just talking basketball, right? Just having general basketball conversations about what she's watching, what she likes, what are some of the things what are some of her thoughts from, not just what the Indiana Fever have done, but from the game of basketball in general.
Sid's firing wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about ambition. The Fever wanted more than just a playoff berth. They aimed for dominance. Sid's inability to fully unleash the potential of her players, especially Caitlin Clark, was the final straw. The team's front office decided to bet on someone who could elevate the franchise to new heights. But what did Caitlin Clark think of all this? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into her frustrations and the missed opportunities of the season.
I started watching Caitlin Clark when she was in the 8th grade when I was at Vanderbilt.
How about that?
And then I called a lot of her games in college when she was at Iowa. And so I've really watched her continue to learn and grow, and I have great relationships with her college coaches and had multiple conversations with them throughout the course of her career about what the next steps would be, right, and what the next level would be.
Caitlin Clark's freshman season was nothing short of historic. She was breaking records, electrifying fans, and proving herself as a generational talent. But behind the highlight reels and jaw-dropping performances, some cracks were beginning to show, cracks that even Clark herself subtly acknowledged. In her debut season, Clark averaged an impressive 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. She led the league in assists, earning Rookie of the Year honors, an All-Star selection, and a spot on the All-NBA first team.
I've never seen in the NBA a player that can throw the ball ahead on the break better than her. Or him. Anyone. I had Isaiah. I had Hall of Fame point guard. Never anyone better than her. I also think that, like a lot of my great point guards, Hall of Famers, she could play off the ball so well because she knows how to move without the ball, and it wouldn't tire her.
The issue was never Caitlin Clark's talent. It was how she was being utilized. Christie Sid's system failed to make the most of Clark's unique skill set, particularly her exceptional court vision and ability to manipulate defenses. Clark's comments in interviews subtly pointed to this disconnect. Sid's in-game decisions also raised concerns among fans and analysts. Clark's minutes were inconsistent, and there were crucial moments when the offense lacked direction. Despite Clark's ability to create opportunities from nothing, the Fever's stagnant offensive sets often left her isolated. What should have been a balanced attack turned into a heavy reliance on Clark or Kelsey Mitchell to play hero ball, an unsustainable strategy that didn't allow for their development. Off the court, Clark stayed composed, but insiders noted her frustrations. She wanted a system that allowed her to focus on the game, not bear responsibilities that should have been guided by her coach. It wasn't just about her, it was about making her teammates better, and the system wasn't giving her the chance to do that.
I'm not one of those coaches that is going to be set in her ways. Not one of those coaches that that isn't, I'm willing to try new things.
Despite all the obstacles, Caitlin Clark still managed to deliver jaw-dropping performances, showcasing her resilience. However, the Fever recognized that her potential was being limited. They needed a coach who could not only maximize her talent, but also elevate the entire team. That's where Stephanie White came in. Known for her reputation as a player's coach and her strategic insight, White brought a sense of hope for the Fever's future. The big question was, Could she provide the structure and mentorship Clark desperately needed? Could she unlock Clark's full potential and help the whole team reach new heights? The Fever's bold decision to bring in White was about to change the narrative. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Now, back to the action.
Trying to think outside the box, not be tunnel visioned in how we do things, putting players in positions to be successful, using what we have to our advantage instead of what we don't, and really trying to reverse engineer in some ways the way that I think about the game, and the positions that we can put our teammates and our players in to be successful.
The Indiana Fever's decision to hire Stephanie White wasn't just about fixing the issues under Christie Sides' leadership. It was about building a team that could dominate for years to come. White isn't new to the Fever or a success. More recently, during her time with the Connecticut Sun, she proved her ability to develop talent and implement a dynamic system.
Not bringing in, my system and my style, and this is the way that we're going to do it, but really adapting and blending some of what we wanted to do or thought we could do with what they had already done that's been very successful.
So, what makes Stephanie White the perfect fit for this team, and Caitlin Clark in particular? Let's start with her coaching philosophy. White believes in a free-flowing offense that encourages players to rely on their instincts rather than sticking to rigid plays. "I want my teams to make plays, not just run them," she said in a recent interview. This approach is ideal for a player like Clark, who thrives at open, chaotic court situations. Under Sid's coaching, Clark's game, though impressive, often felt limited. White, however, has already outlined plans to boost Clark's efficiency, focusing on reducing her turnovers and refining her decision-making under pressure. White also aims to elevate Clark's leadership, positioning her as a cornerstone for future championships. "She's not just a player. She's the engine of this team," White said on the Coaching You podcast.
Greatest lesson of all time is to let them have a voice. And I think so many coaches don't do that. And when you have players like the ones you had in Connecticut, I think, when they know. And if you don't do what they want to do, they'll also say, "She's doing it wrong."
White's return brings excitement and credibility to the Fever. Players like Alia Boston and Kelsey Mitchell are eager for her fresh approach. With her playoff experience, she's poised to help the team make deeper postseason runs and build a winning culture.
First and foremost, it's a mindset. You've got to be committed to it. And so establishing that this is going to be a part of our DNA and a part of who we are right away and is going to be important.
Stephanie White is realistic about the challenges ahead, especially improving the Fever's defense and late-game execution. However, her blend of veteran experience and innovative thinking has sparked renewed belief that the team's full potential can finally be unlocked.
Buying into doing the individual things that it takes. First and foremost, communication. You can't say that you want to win if you're not willing to communicate. Positioning, activity level. Those are the foundational aspects of playing good defense. Low man wins, being in a stance. How many times do we come down and you see players that are just standing straight up, and it's no wonder they're getting beat on straight line drives. So the foundational level of things that are absolutely non-negotiables.
The Fever's front office sees Stephanie White as a long-term investment, especially with her ability to develop young talent. With a roster full of promising players, including Caitlin Clark, White's leadership could be the key to unlocking their full potential. As she begins to implement her system, the question isn't if the Fever will improve, but how far they can go. The pieces are in place, and it's now up to White to bring them together and guide the team to contender status.